All right, I'm looking at Carmen. Carmen, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Good. I was trying to try to go to Houston because I never got a chance to. When my brother died at the beginning of the semester, they had a delay in the services, and they never had a funeral for him. I'll go after the semester. And my God, plane tickets are so expensive. Like
Road trip.
I'm not doing it. All right, so remind me. What have I seen here? Have I seen all this?
Yeah.
Yeah, remember that. Remember that.
Yeah.
All right, this is new.
Yeah. All of it is new. I ran out of time though, so I kind of just took the thumbnails from last time and kind of spaced them out later on.
I don't know what that means. What do you mean space them out later on?
I mean, so like last week I wasn't there when you reviewed it, but they were like all on one page, so they're not like completely
In order? No.
they're in order. They're just not like finished drawings. They're still
Oh,
kind of
these are fine enough.
okay.
These are okay.
They get worse, is what I'm
Oh,
saying.
nice. That's what I always like is students getting worse. So this starts out good. Scene one, slugging. Okay. Okay. All right. So for whatever is worth, I would like to just point out a couple of things for everyone. These are very good. We've got panel numbers, a scene number at the top, shot one, shot two, shot two, shot two would be, oh, I see. That's correct. If there's a zoom, that would be shot two. The perspective is correct. The perspective is the shot looks well composed, and a little bit of tone in there just to get things to pop. And last week, I think that I talked about the idea of getting either the characters to be gray or the background, like you're doing it here, which is fine. So this is great. This is an excellent example of how you would get your boards working, especially at this phase. There are some storyboard artists at Pixar who draw very rough and very fast, and they just don't waste any time. They just fly through their entire script, and then they back away from it. Then they let the interns and the story two people take over the fixes, even though they might have to redraw everything, but that's just how they work. So this is okay. This is good. All right. Is there dialogue you're going to put in here?
Yeah, I just was running out of time, so I didn't include it, but
Okay.
yeah. And I include that underneath the panel, right?
Yeah, right here. You know, technically you would write Edgar or whatever the guy's name is. Billy. Every third character in animation's name is Billy. I'm watching Westworld right now, and there's one of the lead characters' name is Billy. Have you seen Westworld, Chloe?
Yeah.
So you know that
yeah.
halfway through the first season, Billy decides, what does he decide?
What do you mean?
I don't want to be Billy anymore.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, God damn it. So now everyone's having to call him William. All right. So yeah, you could put the name and then what they say.
Okay. Yeah, after this point, it gets a little
They get loose.
A little rougher.
A little loose.
Yeah. And then I thought I needed to like include some panels in between, so I have like some blank spaces there.
Sure, I understand that. This is good. I think the only production issue that you might have is, let's say that when you're going through this, that you really want to put another panel between this one and this one. I mean, just for an example. So that means everything would have to be shifted down
Mm-hmm.
And they use a professional storyboard application from Toon Boom called Storyboard Pro. See it right here?
Oh, yeah.
Storyboard Pro. And that can handle it. There's also a, well, actually, Shotgun was a way to manage your shots. The actual name of the application was called Shotgun. But they changed the name of their application. They didn't like the association with gun. They changed it. And there's a couple other ones too, but Storyboard Pro, even your the Rough Animator application will allow you to shift shots, you know, if you wanted to expand them or put them in order. But I mean,
That's
this is
nice.
fine to just start with pencil and paper. But you're digital. Are you digital? Where are you drawing these?
To make these, I drew them by hand and then I was like kind of drawing over them on my iPad.
On your iPad. Okay, so
Yeah.
and then if you're on an iPad, then what application are you using?
I'm just using like Procreate.
Oh, sure.
And then,
So then you can just move and shift things around.
yeah.
So do you have a stylus?
Yeah, I use my Apple Pencil.
All right, so this looks like you're completely in control here. You know what you're doing? You know where you want to go? It looks good. The theft happens.
I have a question about this part where the dog eats the diamond. I didn't really know how to draw it so that it's like clear that he's eating it. Like, I don't know if I should have the outline inside the body or how to show that.
So I think you're okay. So you've got the arrow here. I think
Mhm.
that just in terms of animation, you could make it even more obvious by strengthening that arrow, you know, and then what's the dog's name?
Ghost.
You could just write what the action is. Ghost eats the diamond.
Mhm.
And then there's no confusion. So remember everyone, and this is something that I used to mention early in the storyboarding classes. And I realized that the way the words sound doesn't make sense to anyone who's never drawn storyboards for commercials or short films or a studio somewhere. But basically, storyboards drive the animation. So, and what I mean by that is that so this is what the animator is going to get. The animator is going to get panel 41, you know, and it might say a repeat of scene 1, shot 18. The animator is going to know from the animatic that has been completely approved that this shot here is 36 frames. They're going to say the action is the ghost eats the diamond. There might be dialogue off screen. There might be something else that indicates to the animator what to do with this shot. So in other words, if this is panel 40, that the ghost right here, he needs to take an anticipation, right? Before he jumps up. So you would put the arrow backwards saying anticipation, and then he's going to jump up. And so once you do that in your own mind, you kind of look at your own thumbnails and go, well, your camera was here. If your dog was just kind of sitting, you know, just as a regular dog, how is he going to take an anticipation to get into this jumping pose? So from this camera angle, and I'm just going to use a different color, that he's going to take his head down, his tail is going to go up, his body's going to go down, maybe his rump goes up, and then you switch. And so as the animator one of the things that you want to do is think about reversal of lines of action. So this line of action is like this, but this line of action is like this. So that's a great, absolutely great way to reverse the line of action. And so even though this shot might be primarily this pose, you can still indicate how deep you want the anticipation to be and how far up the overshoot or the stretch is going to be once you get to this panel. And that's what I mean by driving the animation. And the more clear you are about that, like for instance, maybe in this pink one, if he is going to do some sort of squash, then you can play on that squash by having his tail reversed the other way, so that it looks more like the bouncing ball squashing and the bouncing ball stretching, right, from your animation. Have you had this class yet? And animation one. So then it reads as a squash and a stretch. And then you are driving the animation. If you get into this pose and you realize that the dog is going to jump quite a bit higher because you wanted more stretch, right? Then you're going to need to do a slight camera move. Then you're going to need to pan up. And so that production shot puts these two panels together. And in order to drive this animation correctly, you basically start with this pose that you've got here. And then this panel has the camera move A and B. And so,
oh, so it's all one panel?
Well, no, what I'm saying is that you in this panel here, right, my number 41, you actually draw the dog jumping up higher.
Oh, okay.
Because the camera followed him. It went from position A to position B. And then once you hit position B, then that's where this would be. Then that's where this diamond coming in here, right? The diamond is flying through the air, right? And you could draw the little lines that show it's moving. And then this shot gets repeated here, that now he's taking the weight of the diamond, but now it looks like he caught it in his arms here.
Yeah, I didn't know how to like draw it.
Well, I think that as long as it goes into his mouth, I mean, you can draw. I don't think you need to do anything. You know, drawing an outline of the diamond in his belly is kind of just, you don't need that.
Okay.
All right. Did you want to take a screenshot of that?
Yes.
LMK.
I have taken the screenshot.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So my suggestion is just keep putting the information in there. Make sure, and I think that you should probably do that. The idea of him jumping up to catch the diamond is a good idea. So do a slight camera move that follows, that trucks up and follows him.
Okay.
And then he lands. So one of the things about your action is that this is a very big diamond. And if you think about the action as it's planned out, he's sitting like a normal dog, right? Tail up. And what does he do? He takes his anticipation downwards, squash. His body squashes, his tail goes this way, and then he's going to reverse his line of action and jump up, right? So this is where he catches the diamond. So what happens when he catches that diamond? You know, he can do a tumble. So if instead of just drawing this shot here, he tumbles backwards. So these are his ears. This is his tail. So he tumbles backwards before he lands over here on all fours. So that's a little bit of action once you start thinking about anticipation, stretch, overshoot, catching the diamond, taking the weight of the diamond, which causes him to spin, and then he lands over here.
Oh, okay.
So that's another way of looking at it. I think that something like that is a bit more interesting because now you don't have to show the diamond in his belly. The physical force of the movement of the diamond or the ruby has physically caused him to do a spin in midair.
Mm-hmm. That's a cool idea.
Chloe thought of it. I'm just repeating. Okay, so this is a good reaction. What does this mean? Dog freeze.
Oh, it was supposed to be fleas.
Why?
He's just, well, he's like working with the woman. They're like a little thief duo, and so he's running away from the
Oh,
two
you mean
men.
runs.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought you said fleas like ticks.
Oh no, sorry, no.
Good. Like, where did that go? Okay, so he runs away. Okay.
Yeah.
What does this say? Turn on her?
Yeah. I didn't know if like I didn't know if the people should like run after the dog
Oh, I
or
see what you're
turn on the woman, you know?
No, that's okay. This kind of thing goes down here.
Yeah.
Because
These were just from my thumbnails and I was like,
it's just a little confusing because it looks like they're saying turn on her, but that's the actual action they're taking. Right?
yeah.
And what is this?
I I it's just a little messed up because I was like, you know, selecting things and moving them around.
Right.
So
Uh-huh.
there's like some leftover bits and pieces, I guess.
All right. Well, it's reading okay. Just try not to be confusing. And again, I think that the idea of being confusing over here is the opposite of driving the animation, right?
Mm-hmm.
You are storyboard artists literally tell the animator what they want their story to look like and how they want it to move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would erase all of like the numbers and stuff that are in there.
Yeah, put those up here.
And then
Like,
also, so I wanted to have like they're communicating via like an earpiece. So I was thinking of doing like a little like pop-up image in the corner of them speaking to kind of visualize it. Is there another way you would think
I
of
think that
doing that maybe?
you can try that.
Mhm.
I think that in comics you do this, where yeah, she's touching her ear to try to get a better sound out of it. But I think that the clearest way is she speaking here in this panel?
Yeah.
All right, so underneath that you would write, "Oh my God, the dog's got the diamond," right?
Mhm.
You know, sense alert, whatever she's saying, and then he would immediately react to it,
Mhm.
and so underneath there you would go, "We'll chase the damn dog." So you don't need to do it visually, you know, with this, as long as the action reaction on the different characters is happening correctly.
Okay.
And the animatic proves that. The animatic shows you whether it's the timing is correct. And so this shot right here would be, I don't know, maybe 40 frames long, something less than 2 seconds, like, "The dog's got the diamond," click right here. "Well, go get it." You know,
Okay.
it's a real fast cut.
Mhm.
Right. Okay, so that makes sense. Are they in a casino? How did they wind up in a casino?
It's just they're kind of so like they're all in this giant building. So like the woman is on the upper floor playing with like the top like criminals basically, and then the other guy is on the lower floor in the casino area. And then eventually like the dog runs over to where he is and then she follows. But the part where like the guy and the girl meet up was like panel 70 at that point, and so I just haven't drawn that out
No,
yet.
that's okay. I just when you cut from the camera looking for the dog, zip, 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 and then here comes the dog running, zoop, and the dog runs through it.
Mhm.
I think that what you need then is somewhere in here, the dog needs to run through the shot.
Mhm.
Because why did you cut to it? The cameras are chasing the dog. And so the dog is your central character right now. He's trying to get away. He's running as fast as a dog could run. And you cut to this, which is fine. And you can say, oh my God, I've won. And now I'm looking ahead to see if the dog is running through.
Yeah, the dog is supposed to run like if you scroll up a little bit, he like runs through in the middle panel there.
I see.
Yeah.
All right, so this guy as a sub story has just won a whole bunch of coins, right?
Mm-hmm. And then the guy who's like tracking the dog is telling him like, you gotta go get him. But he just wants to like,
So this guy who's just won a bunch of money is
Mhm.
now being told to chase the dog.
yeah.
So he's got to do this too. You know,
Mhm.
what? And he's got to show him looking around. So you're probably going to need an ECU right there.
Okay.
You know, you're going to need to get, you know, practice doing like a better neutral pose. Especially for a guy who's just won money. Like, woohoo, right? Arm up in the air, you know, but now he's going to like going, what? So now his hand is on his ear.
Oh,
What?
okay.
And then you're going to have your camera's going to be here in an ECU because he's going to be looking around, right? He's going to be like, what? And then he's going to zip over here and you could draw, you know, zip and zip. And over here, you've got his hand on his ear, you know, back and forth, right? Zip, 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 zip. And you could draw two different head positions in one frame.
Mhm.
So here he's like, what? And you can see the little squawking coming out of here. And then an expression change, he's like, what? You know, and I'm being really cartoony about this. Like, he's like, what? And then zip, 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 and then you can, it might be more of a interesting connection to have that kind of action happening first, and then the dog runs by.
Okay.
Then the dog runs by, because then he can turn his head again and go, oh, there's the dog, and now he can chase after it.
Okay.
All right, so this is a hard angle to draw this,
Mhm.
and you might need to go back to your Zoom. Wake up. You might need to go back to your map of this shot right here, because he's just won money right here. This is your guy. This is the doorway. The dog is running that way. So your camera has been here, and then you did an ECU here, and now the camera is going to have to show him running away, right?
Yeah.
He sees the dog, and then he's going to beeline it this way and go chase the dog who's going that way. So the best way to show this action is, well, he would be, if your camera was over here, he would be turning away from the camera to chase the dog. And that would be fine because that movement is really fast. But this camera here tells you all of what you need to know. So in this, what that camera shows you is that now you've got, what does this camera see? It sees the room like this. So this corner of the room is right here. So then draw your perspective. And I'm trying to draw lightly, but Zoom doesn't like light. So this is the doorway. And so right here is the little machine that he's just won from. And now now if you get him standing right here with his hands on his ear, he's going to turn away from the camera really quickly and run. So now you change your line of action this way and get him to run after the dog that way. Does this make sense right here?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So compare it to what you've got.
Yeah, I don't,
So
yeah,
what-
but
what
that's not
this-
great.
What this is like this camera right here, because you're showing the character running at the camera. And as long as your 180 is here, then this would be a screen direction error, unless your 180 was like right here, which is fine.
Yeah,
But I think this is a better way to handle it.
okay.
This is just a better way to go, oh my God, he's gonna have to run and catch the dog. He's gonna go out and run out into the hallway. His name is Landon. Okay, so you wanna take a capture of that one?
Yep, just did.
Which Matt would, and so if you do that, then this matches, because he's already running. So now he realizes he's running faster than the dog.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny, because dogs can run wicked fast. All right. So then
He's got the
stops.
diamond in his stomach, so he's slow.
W-E, Carmen, W-E. So this is funny. I don't think he needs to grab the dog. I think he just needs the dog to run into him.
Oh, okay.
So instead of grab, it would just be catch. Like he's picking up a ball that's falling on the ground. So he runs out. Oh, now the guards are shooting at both of them.
Yeah.
All right, so I think just with those couple of suggestions, you're in a good place. And I liked your aesthetic. And remember, and this goes for everyone, that just watch your camera. And if you need any kind of suggestion like that, just remind yourself of what that little map looks like to get the new camera position. And a lot of times this is the jump between learning how to do storyboards, doing storyboards a couple of times, fixing them, repairing them, getting asked by someone to do a story that's not yours. And then all of a sudden you realize that you can start to see the shot animating as you're drawing the storyboards. And that takes, like, I don't know, somewhere between 20 and 40 experiences doing storyboards. There's very few students who can get to that level of knowing where the camera is as they're drawing it, and knowing what the animation is going to look like as they're drawing it. Because that's the height of how storyboard artists work, is that they can see the action animating as they're drawing the storyboard. They know they're going to need an anticipation, an overshoot, a settle. They know they're going to need a camera shake. They know they're going to need special effects because the gun blasts hit the thing of nitrous and it exploded the whole, I'm thinking of Dexter's Lab, or, any of the cartoons where action like this happens. Powerpuff Girls, Samurai Jack, all that kind of action, reaction, and pacing, setting up a shot, letting the action develop, having faster actions juxtaposed to slower actions so that they read. But you're in a good place. This is looking really good.
Thank you so much.
Can I see some hands for Carmen, please? Yay! All right, hold on a second. This has been happening in this computer all day. Chloe, this looks terrible.
I apologize.
Teasing you. Okay.
This is all new. I haven't I did some gestures and stuff and some thumbs, but they're super rough at the end of this. So I'm going to be starting the boards this week.
Three and a half heads tall. Okay. Oh, this is perfect.
What happened to the back end
I
ones?
don't know.
What?
It's the most perfect black I've ever seen. Let me refresh.
Maybe I have to re-export it.
No.
Oh, okay.
It failed to load.
Yeah. Okay, so Chloe, just remind yourself where your 180 is.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
wasn't, I didn't put it in yet because I wasn't, I knew what I wanted it to look like since I based it off of a museum I've been to. I just didn't, I've been still thinking about where I'm going to be putting my cameras.
What is this?
Oh, that I wanted to, I didn't throw tone in there except for the cloud. And so it ended up looking weird, but I forgot to correct that.
Well, it does look like a cloud, but it looks out of place.
Yeah, I threw that in there and then I
This is an
kept moving.
exterior, right?
Yeah, I was just testing it out. It didn't look very good when I did it and I just moved on.
Yeah, so just hit Command Z a couple times. If you need
Mhm.
clouds in a shot like this where you're just doing a sketch, then just keep the clouds as pencil lines.
Mhm.
Because it looks weird.
It does look weird.
And they look like clouds. But why doesn't everything else have the full render to it? Just be consistent.
Sorry about that.
Be consistent, comma, God damn it.
I'll remember that.
And then remember that I'm not allowed to swear in high school. So you guys are getting the full colorful language. That's a professional term. All right, so you got a whole bunch of maps and you're thinking thumbs. So this is great, everyone. I give Chloe extra claps because
Oh, thank you.
this is extra. This is exactly what I like you doing when you're just thinking about your story is in your head and you're running that film and over. What does that shot look like? What does that shot look like? And it doesn't have to be in order. In fact, the story 1 class at the academy, which I haven't taught for years, or the Art Institute, I haven't taught that there since 2017. This is exactly what you do. You just, what does your pose look like? And then remember too that if you like one of these poses, that it can set the line of action in the shot.
Mhm.
So that helps you when you're looking at your map. You know, oh, I want my character to be running that way because I really like the way one particular action was looking. And then as you're doing these little thumbnails, then you can go back in and go, yep, my line of action is right there.
I can't take credit for that. I saw Carmen do it like a week or two ago,
yeah.
and then I was like, that looks really good. So
Well, it's
not all my idea.
it's the correct way of thinking through the process. All right, so now you're just getting ready to do your boards.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, hands for Chloe, please.
Thank you.
And she's brave, everyone, that she's going to try to do all these panels for next week, because technically I haven't seen any of the panels, right? I'm giving you an evil eye. It's
I
hard.
can see it, Billy. I can see it. Yeah, I know. I've been really behind on stuff, so this is the best I could do in terms of like catching up. So we'll see how far I get next week.
No. I think it's okay. I trust you. I just pinned this today for, you know, just drawing characters. And I just like the sketch quality on them. And I like the design. And now that I clicked on it, you can see that it's trending a bunch of other stuff. And now my Pinterest is going to be trending all of this for the next couple of days, but that's okay. This is on the board. This is on the storyboard. Go, Chloe, go. Consider making the background a medium gray.
I will. I didn't want so much gray while I was throwing in some tone on the characters, so I just changed it to a blue for the time being.
But the reason is because if you look at your color wheel,
Mhm.
and I'm not seeing one that has the gray in it. Sometimes I get lucky and I can just see it right away. Like this one is a good example. So if you look at the rest of the little wheels over here, you know, the colors look saturated and correct, right? Especially like these two, right? So if you're looking over on the left part of my screen, then jump over here and look at how vibrant they look. So this is an example of what happens to colors when you put them against 100% white or 100% black. The technical appearance of them changes. So, you know, most of the color wheels are done on white because the publishers put together the spacing between the colors right up on top of each other, or there's a big swatch of color enough that you can see the color and not be distracted by either the white or the black, right? And very few of them are like gray. So when we see this little cream colored here, or this gray one here, all of a sudden, that's a screenshot. It takes on a different appeal to it once it's on a gray. So, you know, all of a sudden it's like, you know, you always think about when you're doing your website design, your final portfolio, when you're showing off your characters, when you're showing off anything, it looks okay when it's against these little things right here have like a paper tone in them, right? See, it's not 100% white. These guys are, see the gray back there? So it always helps to have some sort of level of gray. All right, keep going, Chloe. Go for it. Go, go, go. Yay! All right, Magnus.
So yeah, the only thing I haven't done is tone yet. I will do that for next week.
Okay. Don't kill yourself.
Yeah.
You've seen what Carmen and Chloe were thinking of. There's a couple of adages that you want to think about here, right? And this adage, I wrote this adage 20 years ago when I first started transitioning from studio work to teaching. And that is, if you're doing it right, it should look easy. Just write that down and remember it for the rest of your life. Remember that it's mine. You can borrow it for all you want. If you're doing it right, it should look easy. So if you're in Photoshop, just color behind. And it doesn't matter if the tone on the shadowy parts of the ramp are perfect. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you're separating the characters from the background. What is easiest? Here it might be to just put a little bit of tone on the characters, a little bit, and then just show where the shadows are. You know, don't go too crazy.
Yeah.
You don't have to go too crazy.
Yeah, luckily I didn't take that much time for this one. I spent about half the amount of time I did for my previous board because I found a way to streamline it more.
Well, I wanted to just show you that there's a way to just kill yourself. There, you know, you can render deep blacks and grays and highlights and midtones and think about chiaroscuro and everything. But you don't need to do that. These are great illustration studies But I think that if you look at the storyboard board and a couple of examples that I clicked on, like this is too much. That this is almost doing like concept. This board right here is almost like doing concept. What you see in Chuck Jones is that his drawings are so filled with a variety of black to gray to the paper tone that this establishes like a lot of the midtones just by the drawing. This is good. This artist is getting a lot of the tones with just the cross hatching and some texture. So there's a crossover. And this is Bill Pete actually just picking up pastels and markers as he's doing pencil and ink on top of it. And now it's trending, right? So what you're looking for is something like this. This is Milt Kahl drawing, right? So remember, you want to do it fast and easy. Fast and easy. What's this? This looks interesting. It's an interesting character designs there. Put that on the board. All right. So in other words, don't noodle. You know, don't spend an hour coloring all this.
Right.
It looks fine. Your sequencing looks okay. Why do you have him going in and then you say cut?
Oh, I might have, yeah, I messed that up. I'll take that out. Sorry.
Chloe, Carmen, could you look down in your Partridge Family thing and glare at him, please? Just give him one of these.
Yeah. I screwed that up. I don't know why that's there.
Fix that.
Yep. It was supposed to be between 7 and 8.
True. So just erase that.
Yep.
All right. So this is correct. Remember, all semester long, I've been telling people to draw through their story panels, right? Just draw through the story. And so more of this, the better. And in your production, because here you're coloring in the boxes, right? But here, this would give your director a chance to think about repositioning the camera. This character is on the focal point. This one's a little bit left of it. It's okay. But drawing through the story frames is always a good idea. Always, always, always. And only into the point where you're drawing too much underneath the boards, where it's interfering with the action and screen direction and dialogue. That's one of the only times drawing underneath the story panels. Or if you draw too far left and right that it interferes with the aesthetics of the other shot. All right. So remember when we talk about silhouette, that you've got a problem here, because you're taking my advice from last week about this guy smoking a cigarette,
Yeah.
but this looks really clunky right here. You know, I know what you're thinking, that if you had put it coming out of his mouth this way, it would have interfered with your characters. I know that's what you were thinking, but having it backwards, you're giving yourself a problem. So my recommendation might be something like that. Try this.
Okay.
You know, it can overlap that guy a little bit. And then here, so don't do this. If he's opening of his mouth, you can just leave the cigarette hanging in midair.
Oh,
It's magic, you know? And then he bites back down on it again here. So remember that's why you're doing this in animation, is that he's shaking around, and the cigarette is just still hanging there. It's even moving around too. Yeah, so keep the stogie over there. Got it?
yeah.
Got it. Good, good. All right, and you've given the markers enough of a difference. I think that works. This looks a little funny here. I think that we didn't talk about this too much in this class. But let me see if I can find an example before I do this. I want to find it quickly. I want to find an example of it quickly. It doesn't come up every single time, but you're in danger of getting into trouble with the difference between tangents and parallels. So let me just draw it for you because I'm not finding a really good example. The example would be, oops, here, is that in this composition, you've got perspective, you've got a 1-point perspective, but this line right here that the monitors are hanging on, it's perfectly parallel with the edge of the picture frame.
Mhm.
So it's a little bit confusing as to what this area is right here.
Oh,
But it doesn't matter. I mean, that could be the ceiling, or it could be flashing that is 90 degrees to the ceiling. In other words, that's kind of what the monitors are hanging on. So that is a clue to the actual problem, because once you truck in on the monitor, these lines are all completely parallel with it. And it might look better for you. Come on. Zoom, wake up. I don't know why that takes so long sometimes. All right, so do you draw this in Photoshop?
I think I originally started it in Rough Animator.
So I don't know if you have the ability to take an image and skew it a little bit so that there's
Oh yeah.
sense of perspective on it,
Mm-hmm.
because it looks better. It looks better if the lines in your frame are not 100% parallel to the edge. It just looks better. And in this case, I think that if you were looking at these monitors, these are right because they're pointed downwards. So in this story panel, it might make more sense to draw the monitors like that. Remember, you're not trying to show an engineering drawing or an architectural map of this. What you're trying to do is tell everyone you're in a bowling alley, right?
Right.
So it probably would be better for you to just sketch this out, that you're, there's usually like a little animation here too, right? Where the bowling pins are moving around, the balls. There's usually some fun stuff going on there. And so this looks better as a drawing rather than just keeping the engineering aspect of it.
Yeah.
If you have the ability to skew this drawing without having to redraw it, it would be better.
Yeah, I can do that.
See this, so this is looking better here. Like this panel 25 is ultimately much more interesting than panel 22 or panel 23. You need 22 and 23 just to establish where you are in the shot. And I think that if you're going to cut to this panel, then ideally you would want to do the opposite of what I just did in perspective and have your panel like this, but have your monitor be like this, because they're already crooked here, right?
Mm-hmm.
This would be one of those topics that we talk about when we're talking about focal points, and we're talking about if we use cinematic thirds or the golden mean, or Wes Anderson likes to put stuff in the very center of the shot, then it also can be confusing, because as soon as you start using focal points all the time, it gets a little tedious. It gets a little predictable about where stuff is in your shot. And it's like, but it's, and so that's one of the comments that I would make. And then the other thing is, never have a character walking on the edge of the screen, that kind of deal. And then it's sometimes, you can't lecture about everything every single day, but having lines that are completely parallel with the edge of the screen is also not the best way to compose a shot, right? So let's just take
Yeah.
a quick look at like this one. And you can see that like every single line is oblique to the edges of the shot. I don't see anywhere in here where there's lines that are completely parallel. This line right here is like the first one, but it's more dynamic to show lines that are just not, so this one's parallel, right?
Yeah.
But that's okay. The action of them is running. So anyway, it's just one of those things that you want to think about as a story artist, because you're driving the animation. All right, so your sequencing looks good. Marker. And he's okay, good. And again, now, and if you cut to one shot that is completely flat, then it's different.
Yeah.
So now it might make more sense that you're doing something very graphic, but back here, this one could use more of the exposition, more of an expository element, more just like a drawing. They haven't really started yet, right?
Right.
So now you're just showing what this looks like. And this might be a fun place to do some little animation up here. You've been to those bowling alleys, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Yeah, they always
so,
have animations on them.
yeah. All right, so he takes off his hat. I'm just a little confused here. He pulled a strike, and then the second guy,
Yeah, it's his turn to bowl, but he steps on the foul line.
he steps on the foul line.
Yep.
All right, so what you need is a cut to so put your camera over here and show so here's the marker, and here's his foot coming down, and here's the line, and so you can show it like disappearing. So show his actual foot cutting into the laser beam. So that camera is looking about 90 degrees, because it's really hard, or technically impossible, to see it in this pose right here. So, and then put that right, I don't know what you did. So you zoomed into the little, so yeah, don't do that.
Okay.
Because it's obvious to you or to anyone who might be on your crew, but this is much more obvious.
Okay.
That he's cut through the light of the foul line. And then fuck you, okay. And what happens in bowling if you fall? Do you lose your turn?
Oh, you get a gutter. Means he didn't hit anything, basically.
So then he's gonna bowl again, right?
Well,
He takes his second shot.
so yeah, technically, when you get a foul, it uses up your first bowl,
Okay.
and then he got a gutter on his second one, so he can't make up the spare.
At all.
Pretty much. Yeah, at all.
All right. So where do we see the gutter?
Oh, basically, because it flies all over the pins and never hits them.
Oh, so he throws it.
Yeah, he throws it overhead and it goes over the pins and behind them.
Okay, so this is going to need another interstitial here. In order to show that action happening correctly, you're going to want, again, the camera to be about 90 degrees, and you're going to want to show him winding up. So this action is here is okay, but you're going to want to show him winding up and then changing his line of action completely opposite so that he throws it, you know, and he whips it straight down in the air. And at that point, your camera can follow it, right?
Yeah.
It could go all the way to where Carmen's sitting. Hello, Carmen. Look, Carmen has devil ears. Chloe has devil ears too. And Billy's got an arrow through his head.
I can't see it on the overlay, but
You can't?
I think that's on my end actually.
So where do you stop
fine.
seeing the zoom right here?
Yeah, it's all right. I moved it.
Oh, I was making a visual joke and you could see. Yeah, you should be in the side view here. You should be in the side view. So my recommendation would be is to just replace these two shots with a side view.
Mm.
And a truck to follow so that we know that the ball goes over completely over them and he's fuming. It's zero. He storms out. He crashes through the door. And then you might want to think about this cigarette again.
Yeah.
He'll be back. All right. So yeah, it's looking good. So just make those adjustments and get some tone on there. It looks good.
Yep. Thank you.
Hands for Magnus, please. Yay! All right, let's look at Riley's and then take a break. All right, Riley, we saw all this last week.
Just scroll down below and you find something new.
Wait, what did I do? Scroll.
Scroll
All right,
down.
tell us. Yes. Do we see this?
Well, I made some changes. I remember you recommend like finding like the on the 8th panel. You like I moved like I tried to make the walls right, like in the perfect position
Yeah.
for the hallway,
Oh, right. Okay.
and then of course do the drawings and just yeah.
So maybe. So he's imagining this on his friend, right?
Yes, Fenica.
But I think that you drew your character too big. And then therefore, when he was holding up the dress, the image of his friend is too big. So
All right.
one thing that you can try to do is
Make it smaller.
either scale the drawing down smaller, which is the best. Can you do that?
Yes.
So scale it down. You might have to add a little bit more of the bottom, just so that it reads better. And then you're going to want to think about how that looks with the following actions.
Okay.
So, because you want to be able to see what he's doing and you want it to read clearly. And here you could just use perfect dots. Perfect outline, a dotted outline. And then he puts it back, right?
Yeah.
Dress back. And he's late. He can't make up his mind now. He's late. He picks up a doll. All right, so in this panel 45, this is him giving the gift to her that he just bought?
Yes.
but we saw that that was a doll.
Well, the doll is it. Well, the doll it was maybe I was about to make like additional scenes like he putting the doll into the present.
Right, but the doll was much bigger. It was like a nutcracker almost. So did it get crammed inside this little box? With like animation magic?
Yeah, you can say
Well,
something like that.
then the idea would be is that it would spring out of it. Don't you think? Because in animation, you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to cram something big into something small. Sure, you can.
Oh, yeah.
But when he gives it, when she takes off the lid, it should like spring. Right?
Okay.
But she likes it.
I never thought of that.
So she looks at it and she likes it.
Yeah. And and then she kisses on the cheeks, and then that's all, folks.
Okay. So I think that what you might want to try is that it springs to life out of the box. And she grabs it in midair, and then she likes it. So see if you can make those adjustments. And here I think that I think that this is a good placement here. But technically what's going on with your camera is that you go from an extreme close-up, or actually this is a close-up,
Yeah.
and then you go medium close-up, and then close-up again. So your camera's going like this. It's going in and out a little bit.
Yeah. Well, in like shot 50 or something, in shot 29, it just slowly zooms in, and then
Well, I know, but in shot 50, so what in the technical term of what you're doing is that this engages your character. When your camera goes from a mid shot, or this right here is a over the shoulder shot. This is a wide shot. You go wide. This is ECU, right? Then you zoom out to a wide. That's fine. I'm not quite sure you need 4 seconds here, but then when you cut to this one, you're in a mid shot because you can see his belly button. And then over the shoulder, he's still in wide. This is over the shoulder. When you come to 43, now you're in a close-up and you're almost in an ECU. So this is engaged. You are totally supposed to be showing the audience exactly what the characters are thinking. So that's fine, right? And this is her, right?
yes.
So, but then literally you moved your camera back out just a little bit to show some of the action. So it's one of those things where you just have to be careful, because now when you get to 47, it's like, or 46 and 47, you're like, oh, you pulled out just a little further. So your camera pulled back a little bit just to see what was going on. And then 48, you're like, zoom back in again. So it might be more consistent to save this, right, for the actual opening of the present. So that the camera can push in and go, oh, she really likes it. And then the camera move means something instead of just being in and out, in and out, in and out. The idea would be consistency. So remember, you've got extreme close-up, 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 mid-shot, close-up, extreme close-up, and then an iris out. Just be consistent with that. And the idea would be is that as she's opening her present and being happy with it, that's where your camera should be moving in, because you're engaging into your character. When you're watching a movie and the character gets on his horse and the camera starts pulling away and the horse starts riding off in the distance, you're disengaging, right? And that tells everyone that that's the end of the movie. Always, 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 always. And so if you take that rule and you apply it here, then it's just a tiny bit confusing about going in and out, in and out. Just do the camera move once.
Okay.
And literally, if the fennec fox is going to kiss him, right?
Yeah.
Then I think that you would iris in on both of them. Because literally in your story, if your characters are giving each other a besito right here, right? Then all of a sudden that last shot, the girl's gone away and now your boy is just by himself. Yes, he's happy, but now the action is that she peeled herself away. In this last shot, he should be giving her a hug. Right?
Yeah.
And whatever action that goes along with it. So everything else is good. Just try to make those adjustments.
Okay.
Everything else is looking pretty good. Clap.
Great.
Clap, clap, clap. All right, let us take a short break.
Alrighty.
Take 15, please. The first thing that I would like to do is remind everyone that we meet next week. But remember that because of my schedule and all the stuff that's happening, I will give final critiques here on the 15th. But if you have stuff that you'd like to change, your actual due date is not until the 18th. Right? I think I might have said Friday of next week, but Saturday makes perfect sense. So that's on record. If you have it for Wednesday night, that's great. I'll give you an extension all the way to the 18th. Okay, so we are. Oh, I've forgotten where we are. I can't believe I put this way. Oh, here we are. All right, so that we already talked about Riley's. Okay. Refresh. Philip is not here tonight. When we take a look at this, there's a submission. Working on it. He said he's working on it. So he said that this character is on the battlefield. Philip, your mountains are still too high in the composition. Go back to day one, where I was talking about focal points and action safe and title safe areas. If these are supposed to be mountains, they should not be in the action safe area. So this is interesting. It's looking a little more interesting for you. It looks like you're trying. And the character is dead. It looks like you're trying. Just remember to keep one of these windows open. Philip, this is the storyboard quality that I'm looking for, potentially looking for in a class like this. So these lines are really rough. I can see that you're trying, but your lines are indeed just a little too rough, a little too messy. All right, Gio. Gio, you're here, right? Tonight? I see you lurking there. Okay,
You hear
your
me?
map.
All right.
Yes, Gio, yeah.
I'm here.
Okay, so remember that your 180, it's best just in terms of clarity to put it on the
Mhm.
opposite side of the camera. I mean, as long as you understand that your camera's not allowed to turn around, it's fine, but technically a line over here would have just been fine.
Okay.
All right, your characters are looking a little sloppy here. Let me just give you a couple pointers. To me, it looks like you were just drawing the characters just right from the start. And the easiest way to get the best result, oops, hold on a second. The easiest way to get the better result is to set the head, just like you've got it, and then realize that the character is going to be looking this way. So once you've done that, that sets your line of action this way so that it's like open against a satellite dish, right? So you know that the character is looking that way. So your line of action should be this way. So that sets the balance point as just a compound curve as an S, right? Then once you do that, you can set your perspective. And you can set the perspective for all parts of the body. That means that this should be a pillow. So in animation, we use this typical bean form, and so this arc is this way. And so if you draw your bean like this, it's going to be easier for your pose. Crossed arms is fine, but it's better to have your character have deltoids, and then put this the arm up on the hip, and then let this character's arm just kind of come away from the body so you can see where the fingers are. So in this case right here, you would see a nice silhouette between the body and the arm. In this position here, this leg has the weight on it, and so this foot could be in the right place, and this foot is almost in the right place, but in perspective, we want it to be about down here. So just from that correction that I've made, that it looks better. So this is your midline, your eyes, and remember that we're looking at a 3/4 pose. So the left eye should be a little bigger than the left eye. So remember that everything is in perspective. So just from that little draw over, you can see that this is a better silhouette. And try to give yourself more of a sketch quality line rather than the line you're drawing with here, where it's just like going back and forth. Don't do this.
Yeah,
This
I
is
have a habit.
That's not good. So here, I think that what you're doing is you're drawing too slow, and you're also kind of drawing against the way your natural ability is. You can't do this in Zoom, but it's best if you have a animation tool where you can turn the stage like you were turning your paper. It would be better. So, this character, the same thing. You can have her looking this way, but remember that her line of action is going to be like that. Her perspective is still to the left. And give her her form. And then if this leg is up in the air, just make it up in the air. You're always looking about silhouettes. So this character needs the most work. Head, line of action is balanced, and his body form is pretty far off of where his balance point is. So remember that the
Okay. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
My fire alarm just going off.
Oh no.
I'll be back, but I'll take a look.
I'll keep
at the
recording
thing.
and you can listen to it on
Yeah.
YouTube.
Okay.
All right, so if he's looking this way, that his left foot should be right here and his left foot could be over here. So I think that's a better pose. Remember that there's a line of action that goes straight through both arms. Each part can have its own line of action. So work on the aesthetics of your line and get your poses working. All right, just for clarity, I don't know if we saw this. Okay. As you're hearing this, Gio, maybe tone down the gray just a little bit. Turn the gray to lighter, just a little bit lighter color. It's just too much contrast. All right, and work on your poses. It looks like you're trying to draw final lines just from the first get-go of drawing the pose. You want more of a sketch quality. So all the way up and through panel 13, and your characters are pretty disengaged. So that means they're just a little too small in the shot. And there's an inconsistency here with this character being in a mid shot, and then she walks away to a medium wide shot, and then your background disappears. So be consistent. Remember this is the idea of playing this storyboard as an animatic or a cartoon that's already finished. So this character here would morph into a different version of herself. Her head proportion is smaller. There's a strange wiggle in her body. Work on your line of action here. And then another inconsistency where you're cutting back and forth. You really need the background, midground, foreground elements, but then your camera pushes in, it trucks in on them. All right, so it looks like he gave her a ring and whatever that symbolizes, and she looks like she's happy about it, but then she walks away. So I'm just a little confused. Maybe she's happy, but she said no. I don't see her giving the ring back. But then your main character is happy, and then he's startled by something, and he cuts to the tent. All right, kind of a non sequitur about him getting killed by a log. Again, I think the gray is just a little too dark. Work on your line quality. And again, I think that just it's a little inconsistent for both your camera positions here and the act of her giving the ring back and walking away. I think you just need to be really clear about that. Remember that for the most part, all shots need a background, midground, foreground element. Paula.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just want to make sure I was still recording. Paula. All right, I saw all this, right?
Yeah. I changed it a little.
What's that?
I changed it a little.
Okay.
That's all I was able to do.
All right, so the first thing I see is that you've got a pretty detailed script.
Mhm.
All right, so there was no way of them winning with that one shot, right?
Yeah.
And so she missed the last shot, but it wasn't like the Hail Mary. It wasn't the one shot that could have won the game, which is fine. I mean, you're allowed to do that. So it's mimicking real life. I'm not picking up the very ending here, though. So they lost the game. And Claudia's happy. Oh, so she did make the last shot?
Yeah, she made the last shot, but they still lost. But like she felt happy that she still at least like made the shot.
So but this panel here that follows. So for one thing, it looks like your ball misses.
Yeah, that's the beginning. I still need to add the other one.
All
Yeah.
right, so you have to draw the other stuff in there.
Yeah.
All right. My advice would be to just do it.
Yeah.
Go, and follow right along with your script.
Mhm.
This, if you're going to stay with pencil, then you can add tone by just turning your pencil on its side and doing your shading with the pencil.
Okay.
Okay. Some hands for Paula. Yay!
Thank you.
Sure. And go. Remember, you need about 35 panels.
Okay.
Thereabouts. Okay, Tristan.
Yep. The script is the same.
Okay. I'm studying it. I'm looking at it. All right, so those are your thumbs. All right, I think your thumbs are reading. So do your boards.
Okay, thank you.
One thing that you can, you're welcome. One thing that you can do at this point, so you're taking me up on my recommendation of doing thumbnails without borders, which I think is good. So when you're going from shot to shot, just remember now it's going to be important for you that I think that what you should actually do is go back either on a copy of this, a digital copy of this, so that you're not ruining your original, but figure out where you want your camera to be, right? So now you can go back in and on these thumbnails, because like this one, it should be a little bigger, right?
Right.
And so go back in here, and then this one's probably about like this, you know, something like that. So now it gives you an idea of where the characters are on the stage. And that'll give you a good idea of what the shot should look like in the final boards. And whether or not you need some sort of camera move, right? Whether you're going to go from this position and trucking out to a wider position here, or something like that. So take that extra minute and figure out where your framing goes.
All right.
Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. All right. I just refreshed this. Hold on, let's do it again. Okay, I think that was everyone who submitted, and we're an hour early. Let me look for some examples here. I don't think I have them on that drive. So let me take just a few moments and go over just some things that I noticed, some things I think that might help you with your final push. And when we were on break, I was kind of looking at this sequence right here. Remember that what I was mentioning here was that I was looking for, oh, there's my, hold on a second. I like it when the text message says that they're going to be here at 8:40 and then they show up at 8:20, taking me by surprise. Okay, so I was looking for storyboard panels that had the elements of main elements where things were parallel and or not parallel or just slightly off kilter, because then it's a better composition. And I came on this one and realized that one of the reasons why these lines are very, very parallel to the edges of the screen is because there's a zip pan here. So this little arrow right here just indicates that the camera is panning to the right. And whenever you do that, if the lines were crooked, they would cause unneeded change of depth in there. So that's why the artists chose to put these lines parallel. Again, this is just a really good example of a couple of different things. Motion lines showing characters moving, arrows showing what direction they're going. This is a big arrow here. So the board artist decided not to draw like a little arrow of him jumping and then falling into the shot. It's just a great big arrow. And then this is a big arrow too. that encompasses the other guy chasing him. So there's a lot of good things in here, that the lines are quick, they're very gestural, they're good poses, the characters have good silhouettes everywhere. Just a really good use of a little bit of tone to show the difference between the background and the characters. So this is really good, and we hit on this. I think I'll save this to the board so you can see it. So there we go. And then let's take a look at whatever is trending. So again, I'm just noticing lots of good stuff for arrows showing direction of movement within the shot. Here are different ways of showing the arrow. So this arrow here is right on top of the car. It's not too big. This one's showing the car turning. The little shading on the arrow so that we can see that there's a difference in the direction. Here, there's a 3-dimensional arrow. This one's got 3 or 4 different kinds of arrows within the board itself. This is a thin one. This is 3D. These are 2D. Over in this shot, the arrows are part of the frame. And it was funny, one of my classmates from state picked up this note that I had dropped over in the student center on campus. And it was a reminder to myself that the next time I run Storyboard, that I was going to experiment with the idea of you all using a different size screen ratio for every single different story that you do, because this one is not 16:9. This is at least Cinescope. This is 1:2 in this one here. This is not a storyboard at all. It's a comic book. This is more 16:9. This is more 16:9. This storyboard here is interesting. You don't see this very often, where the storyboard is composed like a comic book. The drawings are very detailed. It's very cool. It's very good. I'm not sure what that was from. Arrows. So pay attention to all of these examples here are including arrows that show direction within the shot. So I think you can use those to your advantage. And this is a nice trend right here of showing just a bunch of different examples of different styles, but there's still the tone in them. So this is good too. I like what we're seeing just from clicking on this one, which I just pinned to the board. Lots of different styles in there too. All right, let's see if we can find a couple other examples that strike out at me. This is a little much. Right? I'm going to click on this to see how it trends. This is nice board work from Ratatouille, obviously. But I'm clicking on this. I'm just curious because I think that even though this is white and light gray, each one of these shots, it might be a little too high contrast, but I don't think it's too high contrast. What I think is that the board panels are just crammed right next to each other, and that the lines in between the board panels end up adding to the contrast. I'm absolutely positive that if these panels were allowed to breathe and have more room and have the slug in there correctly, and art direction and camera direction, that they would read better. They're good drawings. I think just from my analysis, the tone is actually pretty good, but it just ends up looking a little stroby, a little too high contrast, just because the board panels are all crammed right next to each other. All right. And again, this is trending from the trend from before. So this one, it's interesting. So what I think I'd like to do is maybe just spend a few minutes. There are a bunch of people I didn't see work here in week 14. So going into next week, just with whatever I had seen last week or the week before, Just remember, you do have a couple extra days until next Saturday to hand in finals. You do not have to have an animatic, just the boards are fine. It's still the pandemic. We still can't sit in the classroom and show you how to do it 2 or 3 different kinds of animatics. Only if you really want to. It's a good thing, but it's not necessary. I will see you all next week. Watch a whole bunch of wonderful animated films instead of just pouring yourself into your drawings. Remember that if you're doing it right, it should look easy. If you're doing it right, it should look fun, right? That's my catchphrase.